Reinstalls, why users leave and how to get them back. Did you know that in some app categories, returning users can make up to 50% of your total traffic? Let's face it, in 2026, the market has become more competitive than ever. Cost per install CPI is skyrocketing, and competition has turned into a real budget race. But here's one secret. Bringing back someone who already knows your app is almost always cheaper and more effective than hunting for someone completely new. Much of this is analyzed in detail in the annual market report. If you'd like to explore the data underlying today's competitive landscape and to learn why customer retention is more important now than ever, I will include a link to the report in the description. Hello everyone, my name is Anna and I'm an ASO specialist. And today we are diving into the world of reinstalls. We'll figure out why users leave and how to find those triggers that make them come back. And I'll show you exactly how I use ASO tools to analyze these trends, as well as some paid strategies to bring users back. No fluff, just concrete steps to your activation strategy. Before we talk about bringing users back, we first need to understand one key question. Why did they leave in the first place? Users don't delete apps randomly. In most cases, there is a specific reason, or even a chain of small frustrations that eventually leads to an uninstall. And these reasons usually fall into several clear groups, from simple everyday situations to more serious product issues. The classic reason. Sometimes the reason is practical, nothing personal, nothing emotional. The app simply stopped being useful at that moment. For example, low storage space. When users clean their phones, rarely used apps at the first go. One-time tasks, booking tickets, scanning documents, planning a trip. Seasonal needs, tax apps, travel apps, fitness apps, after New Year. Imagine someone installs a ski report app for a winter vacation. Once the trip is over, the app has done its job, so it gets deleted. In these cases, an install doesn't mean dissatisfaction. It just means the context has changed. Critical mistakes. Sometimes users leave because something actually went wrong, and these cases are much more dangerous for long-term growth. Technical problems are one of the fastest ways to destroy trust. Crashes, long loading times, login problems, bug updates. For example, a banking app crashes during payment, users panics, delays, install competitor. Even 1-2 bad experiences can be enough. Modern triggers. Today people have become more sensitive. Apps get deleted due to privacy concerns. Why does a calculator need my location? Fatigue from subscription after a trial period, and so on. The AI treat. An interesting trend. Simple utilities are increasingly being replaced by built-in AI assistants, translators, note apps, scanners, calculators, planning tools. If your app doesn't provide unique value, it becomes replaceable. Now here's the good news. Just because someone deleted your app doesn't mean you'll lose them forever. Users come back, and surprisingly, their returns follow very predictable patterns. Functional. The users need the function again. For example, travel apps before a trip, food delivery apps, taxi service, marketplaces. They remember your app as a convenient tool. Emotional. The users got bored or felt nostalgic, driven by feelings, very common in games, social apps, entertainment apps. A player deletes a game after getting stuck on a level, then remember it a month later and reinstall. This is a huge segment for games, where 30-day retention hovers around 2.4%. Triggered. External push caused the comeback. Ad, discount, email, big update. This is the most controllable type because you can actively influence it. It's important to know the norm of your niche. Retention norms depend heavily on category. For example, new apps, 11% day 30 retention. Finance, high trust, daily usage. Utilities, 2-3% retention. Use only when needed. Games, high day 1 retention but sharp drop. Important side. Low retention isn't always a problem. Sometimes it's just a nature of a product. If you want to understand why users leave in the first place, I have a separate video where I break down retention strategies in detail. Check it out after this one. When I analyze reinstalls, I try to answer one key question. Are users leaving because of my app or because of the context around it? And for that, I look at several data sources. First, I check store benchmarks. I don't use it to chase averages, I use it to understand context. For example, it shows the typical ratio between impressions, paid views, and installs in a category. If I see that many users view the page but don't install, not just for my app but across the niche, it tells me expectations are high or users are comparing multiple apps before choosing. For installs, this matters a lot. Some categories naturally have temporary usage patterns. People install the app, use it once, delete it, then come back later when they need it again. Travel apps, ticket services, exam prep apps, this behavior is normal here. So, if my metrics are close to the benchmark, I don't panic. It means churn isn't necessarily a product failure. But if my numbers are significantly worse, especially page views to installs, that suggests users see my app but don't find it convenient enough to keep or reinstall. In that case, I focus on improving positioning and value communication, not just acquisition. Next, I check spy competitors. I mainly use it to see where my visibility is leaking to competitors. If users uninstall and later search again, they won't type my brand name, they type a generic keyword. Whoever ranks higher at that moment gets the reinstall. So I look for keywords where competitors suddenly outtrack me, queries with high traffic potential, positions I recently lost. If I see a drop on important keyword, it often explains why reinstalls traffic decreases. It doesn't mean users stop needing the app, it means they found someone else first. This also helps identify switching behavior. Some users move between apps depending on promotions, UI updates, or simply which app appears first in search. So, spy competitors help me protect my visibility where returning users are most likely to look. I always check the timeline where I want to connect updates with user behavior. Instead of guessing why downloads changed, I can see what actually happened around the time. For installs, I pay attention to visual changes and future updates. Users often come back after notice something new. A redesigned icon, new screenshots, seasonal content, major version update. If I see that downloads increased shortly after such changes, it suggests the update reactivated dormant users. It also helps with competitor analysis. If a competitor updates visuals and then climbs ranking, it's a sign they might capture returning users from the market, including mine. So, timeline helps me choose the right moment to refresh my own store page. Update analysis is a huge topic on its own. I go much more deeper into this in my timeline tutorial, link in the description. And one more thing I always analyze is visual comparison. This tool lets me see my store page next to competitors' pages, icons, screenshots, messaging, exactly how users see them. Why is this critical for reinstalls? Because returning users don't evaluate apps from scratch. They compare quickly. They ask themselves, does this app look better than the one I used before? Is it updated? Does it solve my problem faster? If my visuals look outdated, cluttered, or less trustworthy, the reinstall may go to a competitor, even if my app is technically better. Visual comparison helps me spot weaknesses I might not notice from inside the product. For example, competitors highlight benefits more clearly. Their screenshots show real use case. Their design looks more modern. Their messaging targets a specific audience. After this analysis, I often redesign visuals not to be pretty but to communicate value faster, and that directly affects reinstall conversion. Another critical factor I always check is rating and reviews. When users return to the store after uninstalling an app, they don't evaluate it like first-time users. They look for confirmation that things have improved. And the fastest way to judge that is social proof. Many users check the rating before anything else. If it drops out their last experience, they may not even open the page. But even with a high rating, future reviews can make or break the decision. So I look at three things. First, rating dynamics over time. A sudden drop often explains churn spikes, but a steady improvement can drive reinstalls, signaling that issues are being fixed. Second, review content. I compare what users complain about with what the store page promises. If screenshots highlight speed, but reviews mention crashes or lag, trust collapses. Returning users especially look for assurance that past problems are gone. Third, developer responses. Active replies show that the team listens and improves the product. For hesitant users, this reduces perceived risk. Featured reviews are practically important. These are the comments most people see first, and they shape the entire perception of the app. If the top reviews mention bugs, hidden payments, or poor support, reinstall conversion drops, even if the product has already improved. On the other hand, recent positive reviews about new features or stability can act as a strong comeback trigger. So, ratings and reviews aren't just feedback, they directly influence wherever formed users decide to give the app another chance. Of course, organic methods only go so far. If you want to actively bring users back, not just wait for them, you need paid strategies. Retargeting ads. The most direct way to win back users is retargeting. These campaigns target people who already installed your app but stopped using it or delayed it. The key is not just showing ads, but reminding users why they installed the app in the first place. Effective messages usually highlight new features, limited time offers, improved performance, personalized benefits. For example, miss your workouts? Try the new AI training plans. Or your favorite shows are back? Watch now. Relevance matters more than creativity here. If the message doesn't address the original reason for churn, the reinstall rate will be low. Brand search protection. Another underrated tactic is protecting your brand searches. When found users look for your app again, they often type your brand name. If competitors run ads on your branded keyword, they can intercept that intent. Running your own brand campaigns ensures that returning users land on your page, not someone else. This is especially important in competitive niches like delivery or fitness. Incentivized comeback campaigns. Sometimes users need an extra push, discounts, bonuses, premium trials, or exclusive content that triggered reinstalls, especially if the app involves purchases. Example: come back and get 50% off your next order. Premium unlocked for returning users. New season content available now. But timing is critical. If the offer appears too early, it may feel desperate. If too late, the users may already be loyal to another app. Cross-channel reminders. Paid strategies don't have to be only ads in stores. Email, push notifications if permissions remain, social media retargeting, all of these can reactivate users outside the store environment. Sometimes users don't reinstall simply because they forgot about the app. A well-timed reminder can bring back to the top of their mind. What metrics should we look at? Reinstall rate, the percentage of returns in total traffic. Cost per reactivation, this should be cheaper than acquiring new users, otherwise the math won't add up. LTV or returning users, they often become more loyal and engaged when given a second chance. So reinstalls are not random. They are driven by a mix of product value, visibility, timing, and communication. By understanding why users churn, monitoring the market, improving your store presence, and using smart reactivation strategies, you can turn an installation into a temporary pause, not a permanent loss. If you want to stop this leaky bucket effect and start growing steadily, try these strategies. I have left links to the ASOMobile tools I showed today in the video description. Don't forget to like and subscribe. There are many more ASO analysis ahead. Let's bring your users back together. See you soon.